Europe has been home to multiple kingdoms, states, and dynasties throughout history. As a result, there have been many deadly and chaotic territorial and religious wars that have raged here for centuries. Some of these wars have greatly influenced the fate of Europe. There are some very important battles involving great leaders and great countries. In this video we take a look at the 8 deadliest wars in Europe. Number 8. Spanish Civil War. The Spanish Civil War is a complex historical period characterized by conflict in Spain. This conflict erupted as a result of political and social tensions during the Second Republic. Socialist, communist, and anarchist groups united under the Republican Front, while the Nationalist Front led by Francisco Franco represented fascist, monarchist, and Catholic groups. With the outbreak of the war, there were conflicts that divided Spain both nationally and internationally, as well as the intervention of foreign powers. Germany and Italy supported the Nationalist Front, while the Soviet Union and international volunteers joined the Republican Front. The Spanish Civil War was a great human tragedy, with brutal war crimes, clashing ideological positions, and the suffering of the civilian population. It ended in 1939 with the victory of the Nationalist Front. A long period under Franco's dictatorship began. This war was a reflection of the political and ideological conflicts of the 20th century and was an important event that shaped the future of Spain. The effects of the Civil War lasted for many years and profoundly affected the social structure of Spain. Number 7. French Wars of Religion. The Wars of Religion in France refers to the period of complex and violent religious conflicts that affected 16th century France. Deep religious differences and political rivalries between Catholics and Protestants, Huguenots, were the main causes of these conflicts that shook the country. The wars were marked by brutal events such as the massacre of Saint Bartholomew. In this tragic event, a series of attacks resulted in the killing of thousands of Protestants. Many times during the wars of religion, truces and peace treaties were concluded between the parties, but they continued in an unstable manner. Finally, the wars ended with the Edict of Nantes. This edict granted religious freedoms to the Huguenots, while maintaining Catholicism as the official religion. While this agreement was recognized as a step towards internal stability in France, the social and political tensions created by the wars of religion continued for many years. The Wars of Religion in France is an important event in European history that reflects the complexity and destructiveness of religious conflicts. This period is also remarkable for showing how religion and politics can be intertwined and how they can affect the fabric of society. Number 6. 30 Years' War. The 30 Years' War represents one of the most destructive and complex conflicts in European history. These wars, which began mainly in Germany, revolved around religion, politics, and territorial claims. In addition to reflecting religious tensions between Catholics and Protestants, these conflicts took on a wider dimension with the involvement of various European states. The wars broke out with the defenestration in Bohemia and spread to different parts of Europe. Localized civil wars in Germany became internationalized with the intervention of Spain, France, Sweden, and other great powers. During the wars, truces and peace treaties were concluded at various times, but conflicts generally continued. The Treaties of Westphalia are the treaties that ended the 30 Years' War and redrew the political map of Europe. These treaties caused significant changes in international relations and contributed to the birth of modern nation-states. The 30 Years' War represents a critical period that shaped the history of Europe and reflects a complex interplay of religious, political, and cultural dynamics. The wars also symbolize a great human tragedy in terms of civilian suffering, starvation, and destruction. Number 5. The Northern Wars. The Northern Wars were an important period that affected the political balance and power structures in Europe. These conflicts encompassed a series of wars in Northern Europe in which various great powers participated. In particular, these conflicts, also known as the Great Northern War, centered around the collapse of the Swedish Empire and the rivalry between Russia, Poland, Denmark, Norway, and other European states. These wars affected the balance of power in different parts of Europe. With the weakening of the Swedish Empire, the rise and strengthening of Russia was remarkable. At the same time, other European states acted in their own interests, and alliances fluctuated. Considered in relation to political alliances and struggles in Europe, the Northern Wars influenced the political and territorial claims of many countries. Diplomatic relations, war allies, and enemies were constantly changing during the wars. Treaties signed as a result of these conflicts, such as the treaties of Utrecht, defined territorial boundaries and reshaped international relations. The Northern Wars were an important period that demonstrated the complexity of Europe's political landscape and how interstate rivalries could escalate into major conflicts. The wars influenced the strategies, alliances, and diplomacy of European states, leaving lasting effects on the balance of power on the continent. Number 4. 100 Years' War. The 100 Years' War refers to one of the most protracted and influential conflicts in medieval European history. These wars, which emerged on the basis of rivalry and territorial claims between the kingdoms of France and England, were shaped by the claims of English kings to the French throne and the efforts of French kings to seize English lands. Important battles at various periods throughout the wars were known by names such as Crécy, Poitiers, Agincourt. The English volleys and new tactics were among the factors that changed the course of the war. The French resistance led by Joan of Arc was also a notable turning point and boosted French morale. At the end of the wars, the French succeeded in driving the British out of their country, and all British territories, except for the fortress of Calais, came under French rule. The 100 Years' War coincided with the decline of feudalism and the strengthening of national identities. The wars played an important role in showing the changes in military tactics, how territorial claims could lead to major conflicts, and how national consciousness could be formed. Number 3. Napoleonic Wars. Napoleon Bonaparte was a French leader who led major military conflicts that affected Europe at the beginning of the 19th century. The Napoleonic Wars, under Napoleon's rule, took place between 1803 and 1815. These conflicts reflected the conflicts between Napoleon's expansionist ambitions and the French Empire's desire for expansion, and the conflicts between other European states. Napoleon's victories included important battles such as Austerlitz, Jena Auerstedt, and Wagram. However, heavy losses in the invasion of Russia in 1812 signaled the decline of Napoleon's power. In 1814, Allied forces captured Paris and deposed Napoleon, but he soon fled and returned, and the 100 Days period began. However, defeated by the Allied forces at the Battle of Waterloo, Napoleon was exiled and the French Empire came to an end. The Napoleonic Wars reflect a comprehensive period that shaped the map of Europe and had a significant impact on international relations. These wars are a complex series of historical events that bring together Napoleon's military skills, objectives, and international diplomacy. Number 2. World War I. The First World War was one of the most important and devastating events of the 20th century and profoundly affected the history of Europe. The war began for a variety of complex reasons, but quickly developed into an international conflict. This conflict, which erupted with the Austro-Hungarian Empire's declaration of war on Serbia, involved Germany, France, Britain, and other great powers. As a result of the war, Europe suffered great destruction and losses. The use of new military technologies during the war led to the widespread use of trench warfare and chemical weapons on the front line. The Treaty of Versailles, signed at the end of the war, imposed severe economic sanctions and territorial losses on Germany, which increased economic hardship and social unrest in the country. The First World War led to the collapse of imperial empires, the birth of nation-states, and the drawing of new political borders. The post-war period saw political instability and economic hardship in Europe. Moreover, the traumatic experiences of the war and the great losses had a profound impact on social thought and the arts. The First World War was an important milestone that accelerated the transformation of Europe and shaped the entire world history. The years following the war marked the beginning of major changes in international relations and political balances. Number 1. World War II. The Second World War was one of the greatest conflicts that profoundly affected Europe and the entire world. The war began with Nazi Germany's attack on Poland and soon expanded worldwide. The conflict between the Axis powers Germany, Italy and Japan and the United Kingdom, the Soviet Union, the United States and other allies led to civilian suffering, territorial losses and destruction. As a result of the war, Europe was devastated. The Nazi genocide and the Holocaust constituted one of the darkest pages in human history. The treaties signed at the end of the war led to the redrawing of borders in Europe, the division of Germany, and the beginning of the Cold War. Initiatives such as the Marshall Plan helped rebuild Europe after the war. The Second World War led to fundamental changes in international relations. New institutions, such as the United Nations, were created for peace and cooperation. The effects of the war lasted for many years and led to the formation of new political and economic orders in Europe. In this video, we looked at 8 deadliest wars in Europe. If you liked the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. See you soon.